In a world where four bitter rivals open training camp on the same weekend, where safeties land on the pump, kickers get cut for German YouTube specialists, and one quarterback room is still an open competition, where GMs talk extensions, coaches preach continuity, and every fan base is already sharpening their knives. Three hosts from the Chicago Bears, Detroit Lions, and Minnesota Vikings gather for the NFC North collision. No mercy, no filters, just pure division warfare. This season, only one can be crowned. Who will it be? Next on Who Will Be King? Let the battles begin. Hey there, everybody. I know you're used to seeing three of us or four of us here, but right now there's only two of us. And sitting next to me is Pay from the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan Channel. Pay, how are you doing, buddy?
I can't complain. Dave, thanks for having me. One of the special chosen ones to do this show with you. Nice to be here.
It's the first full day for every team to have their people on the field for training camp. But between yesterday and today, we had press conferences from generally our GMs and head coaches. And I wanted to go over a few things that were said during those press conferences. Now, if June was here to represent Bleachers to Speakers, he's running late. And not only is he running late, you have Foster, who's stuck in a parking garage because his ball game went into overtime.
I don't buy that excuse. Sorry, Dave. Sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to cut you off, but can we cut the crap? I know you're filibustering for these guys to get here on time, but there's no way you expect me to believe that Detroit has that kind of traffic.
You're probably correct.
Can I say this? Is this a safe space? Can I say it? Detroit is just it's an overglorified suburb.
Okay. A suburb of where?
Canada.
Okay. I'm cool with that. That's fine. Now, I saw the video of your coach, Mr. Ben Johnson. He was talking about the team starting a new chapter. What do you think of this new chapter?
Yeah, I watched the press conference. There was a lot of press conferences, as you alluded to. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough press conferences coming out of San Francisco. But we would talk about that later. But Brian Poles, he was up there. Caleb took the podium today. Ben, Dennis Allen. So there's a lot of information to digest. The new chapter that Ben was referring to, I might have missed what exactly he said verbatim, but I did like a lot of the things he did say as far as what he's expecting coming into this season. He's, as he said all offseason, throwing away last year. Last year's over. Don't want to talk about it last year. We're not doing that. And we're not resting on our laurels. And everything right now is 0-0. No wins, no losses. You got to earn your keep around here. Everybody included. Caleb on down. He talked a little bit about the left tackle battle. Dennis Allen talked about what's going to be going on as far as who's going to be getting a majority of the reps at nickel so far, as we are still dealing with some injury issues there. But there's a lot to take in there, Dave.
Okay. And we'll get to the injury issues because there's a long list for 3 of the 4 teams. But he also talked about continuity. And that he thinks because the coaching staff didn't change, that's an advantage. Do you agree with him?
Big advantage. I don't even have to go too deep into it, Dave, about how, schematically as an advantage or anything on the field. We can just go right to last season within our own division. The defending division champions, the Detroit Lions, who are not here to defend themselves, they lost a lot of coaches. And Dave, do you remember where they finished last season?
Let me think. They went from first to last.
Ooh, good memory, Dave. They had a 15-2 season?
Mm-hmm.
-6 wins. -6 wins on the season. And they didn't have a lot of injuries last year, Dave. I don't think they had any major injuries. But what they did had differently was a vacancy of coaches. They had a lot of they had a turnstile, if you will, in the coaching offices up there in Detroit. Sans Dan Campbell, but he did had to replace a lot of coordinators. In fact, he replaced offensive coordinator mid-season with himself. Still didn't help. And then he replaced him again this offseason. So to his point, Ben Johnson making about retaining a lot of coaches from their division-winning team, that is a plus. You definitely want to have the same voices in the room. You don't want to have players going from one voice, doing it one way, then having to switch up and doing it another way. That's never good, especially even going from bad coach to good coach is going to take some time to get acclimated and unlearn all the bad to get to the good, right? And if you go from good to mid or even worse coach, it's going to take a lot of adjustment as well. So I agree with Ben. It is a big plus to stick with the continuity that you had in that room. And the Bears, we all assume that the Bears are going to lose a lot of coaches, and they did not lose as much as we thought. Yet we did lose the offensive coordinator. Declan Doyle is now the OC over there in Baltimore. Shout out to him. Press Taylor promoted up to be offensive coordinator as well, but we all know Ben Johnson runs the offense. We ain't got to do too much on there. We did retain the defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen. We did retain the offensive line coach, one of the best units in all of football last year. We did retain the defensive backs coach, Al Harris, one of the best units in all of football last year as well. So that point, fully agree with our coach there.
We got a comment about, well, you still have the new stadium as a distractor this year.
That's only a distractor to the people who don't play football.
I thought Ben Johnson handled it well in his presser. I think you guys are going to have a very interesting season. And if you keep everything on a roll and the players become one, because I think he talked about it, nearly half the squad's been replaced, it should be a good season.
I agree. The expectations are through the roof. We can debate about where the expectation was coming off of 2018, but I would say, off the top of my head, the expectations for this team hasn't been this high since 2007.
Who was quarterback then?
Tom Jabroni. You might remember his name is Rex Grossman.
So, hey, it is. But this is, I agree with you. This is the most expectations for the Bears we've seen in a long time, and that's good for you and your fan base.
Very much so.
Especially when you don't meet them, but that's going to be.
No, that's good for you and your fan base.
Hey, Vikings fans are unique. We hate the Packers, most definitely. Generally dislike the Bears and definitely dislike the modern Detroit Lions.
Oof.
But
they have built up a little bit of hell.
But now, with the Vikings, we had our GM and coach, Kevin O'Connell, get together and have their presser yesterday. In it, they announced that Gerald Alexander, our DB coach, was being suspended without pay for 3 weeks. I think it started today or yesterday. Joint practices with the Ravens, or at least for that game. But he is suspended for a DUI that he pled guilty to this spring, which is not good, but it was a quick and judicious punishment. It was equal to everybody else that got DUI, whether it be player or coach. 3 weeks without pay. Players get it 3 games, but coaches get it 3 weeks. And they said they were very disappointed, and of course, everybody is. Now, but we had some good news. Brian O'Neill, our right tackle, signed a 4-year, $96 million extension, locking him up for the next, if it's just an extension, it should be the next 5 years. And it will basically make him a Viking for life, which is good. He's got, when you look at the AAV, it is $28 million, I think, per. and he will be the second highest paid right tackle, right behind Lane. And I think he deserves it. Absolutely deserves it. But we'll see. Purple Tear says it's totally fun living in Cheeseland and flying to purple. I'll bet it is. Tim says there's nothing else to do in Minnesota but drink. That's not quite true, Tim. There's all sorts of fun stuff to do in Minnesota. Take boat rides and stuff like that, if you want to go way back in our history.
Shout out to the Daily Norseman.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Now, but Brian O'Neill got his extension. Everything's all copacetic. But what the biggest thing came out of yesterday was Kevin O'Connell explaining his QB competition. And he says he wanted to clarify that both gentlemen, both the Wee Whittam one, Kyler Murray, and J.J. McCarthy, number 9, are going to get equal opportunities. Not necessarily equal reps, but equal opportunities. And one will start with the ones one day or one drill, and the other will start with the 2s. And then in the same day, it will flip. One guy will get this drill with the 1s, and the other guy will get with the 2s. Yes, Tim. Fish and drink and boat and drink, and I'm referring to the Love Boat. Back in the day, that saga where Minnesota prostitutes got upset because the players took some from Atlanta instead of homegrown.
Shout out to Dante Culpepper.
Yes. But anyways, but they're going to be equal opportunities to win the job. And why he says that you can't really count the snaps. However, there'll be people counting every single snap and every single throw. It's because they may be different. They may be doing it, inside the 20 drill or a drive drill. And one quarterback may throw 4 different 50-yard bombs and score each time. The other one may take 20 plays just to get to the 20. But we'll see how it goes. It's going to be interesting to see. And I'm very much looking forward to it. Now, today, Kyler Murray started with the 1s. That I do know. However, we don't have any clips because there's no fans in the stands. They won't be there until August 1st or 2nd. And the press has been strictly prohibited from taking film of the drills. It's that whole, you'll be spying on us thing. It's like, oh well. Find it interesting. We also signed Jamal Adams to play linebacker like he did down in Raiders, Vegas. What I find interesting about Jamal Adams, obviously of multi-Pro Bowl, multi-All-American selection when he was up Seattle with the Legion of Doom, as a safety, is that he's made the progression down to an inside linebacker in a 3-4, middle linebacker type. But he was known as, Blitz Boy in Seattle. What does B-Flow like to do?
He likes to bring the pressure there, Dave.
He sure does. And he'll move linebackers onto the line of scrimmage. He'll move them in and out of holes, all sorts of stuff. So we'll see. He's right now going to be linebacker 3 or 4, possibly 5. I doubt it. But we'll see when he comes. Now, today it was reported he was joyously at practice. Cool. I'm glad he's joyful.
Who isn't joyful? Camp is open.
I know, and
the days counting down to the Packers starting the season 0-1 are getting smaller.
I know. We can't wait because it's against us. But that was basically it. Now, they also confirmed Christian Darrisaw is 100%, which I expected. There's no concerns there. So we are ready to get this thing rolling. Now, the Minnesota Vikings is the only team in the NFC North that did not have anybody on the PUP, NFI, any of those lists as far as players. Now, the other 3 teams did. Who have you got injured?
So there's only one official player for the Bears that's actually on the PUP, physically unable to perform list, and that is Kyler Gordon. He's got another soft tissue injury. This time it's his calf. Dennis Allen and Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson, all in their press conference, they expressed their frustration. Ben a little bit more frustrated than anybody else because Ben is just a surly dude like that. Ryan Poe said it's all hands on deck to get him back into the building and ready onto the field. Ben said if he had any advice to Kyler, and it is to simply get healthy. What Dennis Allen said, which is also most important because he's his direct supervisor as being the defensive coordinator, and he said that it would be I'm not using verbatim here, but pretty much a rotating door at nickel right now. They're going to trade. We're going to figure out they're going to put a multitude of players out there to figure out who's the best fit at nickel and see what's going to happen. Because as of right now, there's no timetable on when Kyler Gordon can return. So we all hands. Here we go again, there, Dave. Figuring it out on the fly in the secondary with the Chicago Bears.
What about Elijah Hicks?
Actually, Elijah Hicks is one of those guys that I'm most interested to see because we over here at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan Channel think Elijah Hicks, if Kyler can't make it back for week 1, we like to see Elijah Hicks in a starting secondary, but not at nickel.
Okay. I also heard Trapillo, Turner, Sewell, and Elliott are on their list.
Pillow got injured last season, dislocated, patella tendon injury. So he's not expected back. I don't think he's going to play at all this season, but earliest he'll be back is November, Thanksgiving, around that time. So that's no new news, even though Kyler Gordon being hurt is not new news either. But I think that's the most important news. TJ Edwards. He's also injured right now. He was on an NFI with an illness right now, but they say it's not something to be concerned with. They expect him back within the next few days. But the biggest thing to come from that is that all the rumors surrounding TJ Edwards' illness have been unfounded. He is not sick because he had some bad lettuce from Taco Bell. That is not what happened. He got a different type of illness, and he shall be back soon. He does not have explosive and corrosive diarrhea. None of those rumors are true.
Well, it's better than VD. So we'll find out. George Sperlin is improving. He's gotten to the point where now his stitches are itching, and he wants to lick and pull them out, and we can't have that. So he's spending more time in the cone. So that's funny. Now, since it's just the two of us, I'll go on and talk about the Cheese Weasels. They had their conference as well. And Ed Policy explicitly framed the decision to extend Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst and Russ Ball as choosing continuity over chaos. But did they? And there's a second continuity term used in these things. Okay, Ed Policy, you can do that. He noted that there were 10 head coach openings league-wide that caused a tremendous amount of chaos. Well, if they would win their games, they wouldn't have an opening, now would they? But it is what it is. He strongly implied that the development of the professional quarterback, Mr. Jordan Love, was a factor in it. He said players, and especially quarterbacks in championship caliber teams, develop the best in environments of continuity. He said it twice. What championship have they won since Jordan Love has been the quarterback?
Overrated championship.
I don't think they have. They haven't gone to the Super Bowl.
No, they certainly have not.
Not since.
They talk like they have, but
yeah, but not since your former team owner was there. Have they?
Never.
He also reiterated they're not selling the naming rights to Lambeau Field. And this is after I read a story during the week that they're whining about they don't have money to spend. Hey, they could say, Lambeau Field by such and such dairy and make a few extra million that you could put towards players. But the article I read earlier was on ESPN. Talked about, well, if they get over to Micah Parsons' pay, they'll be fine.
There's the way I took that whole thing as far as them bitching and moaning about their lack of funds because they're doing things a different way than the rest of the NFL, the rest of sports business is nowadays.
They're publicly owned. Yeah.
Yeah, because they have they want to do things differently in Wisconsin, and the Canadians they're a little different. So the way I took it is that there might be a timetable on them doing this whole community owned situation. They might be trying to find them a real billionaire. What do you call it? A new money bags, a new sugar daddy to go ahead and save them. Shout out to a pretty woman.
Now, he acknowledged the late season collapse last year, but expressed full confidence in current leadership group. Yes, we suck, but I like my leaders, so we're going to keep it. Gutekunst, on the other hand, says Aaron Banks will come off the pup in practice today. Good for him. And Tucker Kraft, the extension talks on him are ongoing. We talked about you with Mr. Wright, me with Brian O'Neill, and now we have the Packers with Tucker Kraft, which is fine. With that, and we're still waiting on June. He says he's running late. I texted him to run faster. We're going to take a quick break. Grab your Garrett's popcorn, and we'll be right back. And we're back. So I find it interesting that the Packers are sticking with what fails, but okay, that's fine. Micah Parsons, as we know, starts on the pup. He won't be back till the mid-October, end of October, realistically at the earliest.
6.
Yeah. So we'll see. What else have we got going on? Scrolling through my notes, folks. Now, Packers kicker carousel. They fired their kicker, and they signed kicker Lenny Krieg, if I spell it or pronounce that right. He's a German international pathways guy, elf background, previously the Falcons Jets.
When you say elf, are you talking about the Cleveland Browns? Or...
No, I don't think it's the little short people either. However, it may be. I think it's a acronym for something. European League football.
Huh. He's a stowaway from the World Cup?
American football. But he could be a soccer dude. We know those place kickers, a lot of them grow up playing soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also signed tight end Thomas Yasmin, who's from Australia. So they have 2 IPP personnel. So at T-Bass. Well, if you consider the Packers' failure going to playoffs 3 straight years without winning, Minnesota's failure is massive. Well, yep. Mm-hmm. It's been a while since we've won in the playoffs there, T-Bass. I agree with you.
Did they say why they replaced their kicker?
I assume it's because he sucked.
Yeah, you have to be really bad to be replaced by, I'm going to just go ahead and say it.
Somebody in Europe?
Yes. It's interesting that they went that route. Maybe they're trying, maybe they're doing that Packer thing where they're thinking outside the box and trying to be the smartest ones in the room, but really got the cone hat. Shout out to the cone thing you talked about.
The nerds?
Yeah, those dunces.
Pointy heads. Yes. No, but it was
maybe
after
that's what they're doing.
Harversick was cut. They have a competition now between rookie Trey Smack, which is a great name for a kicker, and newcomer Krieg. And they got rid of Harversick because they said a 3-man competition avoided as counterproductive. Or they think it was counter.
You said Tucker Kraft returned to practice today too, right? Or did he just get an extension?
No, they're working on this extension.
Okay. Good for him. Love it when people get paid. Overpaid, especially when they're Packers and get overpaid. Love it.
Yes. Yes, George Scooby-Doo was a Great Dane as well.
He was a what?
Great Dane. He loved his Scooby snacks. And Merlin loves his treats as well. That I can tell you. And for those that are curious, who's Merlin? Merlin's my Great Dane. He had bloat, which is where the stomach rolls. It's called torsional roll, whatever. And unless you catch it almost immediately, your dog's going to die. And we caught it early enough that we had to go through emergency surgery and all that sort of stuff. But he's recovering. happened a week ago.
This show took a turn. Packers, dog surgery.
Dog surgery, dog almost dying. Yeah, I know. Now,
Talk
if
about
we could
something
only
fun.
talk about the Lions.
Yeah. What have the Lions been up to?
Well, they had in their press conference, Mr. Dan Campbell get up there, and he was all sorts of excited, says conditioning in the offseason was great, and he was clearly pleased. Well, they get paid to stay in shape there, Dan. You would hope they're conditioned. Now, he's got a bunch of injuries he's dealing with. Kirby Joseph is still unknown. He's starting, I think, the pup, but he can practice something like that. He's not grinding. It won't be for 2 to 3 weeks. They've got him running straight lines now, but not cutting sort of deals. So we'll see. Brian Branch, there's no setbacks, possible late training camp, early September return. We'll see. Christian Isian, minor flu bug. He's going to be out. Christian Mahogany just needs a couple of days. And Tyler Conklin, lingering calf injury. Must be a soft tissue injury. Looking at roughly 2 weeks.
Yikes.
It is what it is. They've got contract talks for Jahmyr Gibbs ongoing. He is holding in, and I got that. Sam Laporta is another one under contract negotiation. And Campbell says it'll come as it comes. I think that's what she said.
She definitely said that. I heard her say it. Jahmyr Gibbs, you said he's holding in. I know today was the first day of training camp, actual training camp, where they actually practiced. Do you know how long the Lions practiced for today? Yeah. The Bears only practiced for like an hour 15 today. So I wanted to, because I wanted to know what the extent of this hold in looked like for Jahmyr Gibbs. So I will keep an eye on that as the days move on in their camp.
Participates in classroom and stretching and stuff like that. But other than that, no drills.
Yeah. No drills. Giving his understudies some, Isaiah Pacheco, the new guy in town, giving him some extra reps. Nice of him.
Gary, sorry to hear that, buddy. Gary has a friend that has a Great Dane and just died from the same thing. But it was classic Campbell. He was upbeat, direct, no sugarcoating. The injury unknowns while still projecting confidence. Now, if I do remember correctly from my notes, and I've got a ton of them, that's why it takes me a while to scroll through. Yeah, Brian Branch is on the pup with an Achilles. He's targeting early September. Yeah, right. Kirby Joseph on the pup, chronic knee issues. Tyler Conklin on the pup, lingering calf issues. Christian Mahogany, NFI, supposedly short term. And Christian Isian, NFI, minor flu injuries. So we'll see about that. No. But other than that, he says we're ready to go. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we're a day in. I mean, most teams, I think everybody reported officially on Monday, right? So,
With the
only
vaccine.
teams, yeah. So everybody, we're a day in. It's still teams are building up a ladder. Everybody's building up a ladder, getting onto the real minutia of the training camp. Once we start doing, because they can't even. Do you know offhand? When's the earliest they can put on full pads?
We start, I think it's not for 3 days. So this would be day one for everybody. So it'll be Friday, Saturday is the earliest they can put on pads.
I know the Bears have their first practice that is open to the public is on Friday. I'm expecting them to be fully padded Saturday.
Ours is August 1st, whichever day that lands on.
That's Saturday.
And I suspect ours will be in pads too. And that's when the press cannot film what goes on the practice field, but they can't stop fans from doing it.
Exactly. Clear out that space in your phones there, everybody. If you're going to watching practice on Saturday or the weekend, clear out the space on your phone. You want to get all that good violent coverage downloaded right into your cloud. Don't miss it. So, for the Bears, there will be violence.
There will be violence. Now, what's something I find interesting, speaking of violence, I think all the coaches pretty much talked about tackling and how they are going to increase the physicality of the training camp this year. I know Kevin O'Connell did. Now, I doubt he's going to have tackling, but was one of the two coaches I saw that was talking about, no, we're going to tackle to the ground. But build up those calluses.
I agree. One of the things I've been railing about on for a few years now is that the state of tackling all around the league. Now, it's easy for me from my vantage point at home, comfortable in my Bears snuggie, to
with your
talk
can
about
Garrett's popcorn. Yes,
can of popcorn. Left hand in the popcorn bin, a right hand on the brew.
On the brewer, what is that whiskey? Voldemort? No. Trying to remember that whiskey Chicago's famous for.
You're talking about Malort.
Malort, yes, Malort. I'm so glad and happy I've not tried that yet.
I mean, don't speak to you. Can put some hair in your chest, Dave.
That's what I've heard.
Go ahead and do that. All you need is one shot, and then one shot.
That's all I've heard.
It tastes like rubbing alcohol and dirt. But it's easy for me, from my vantage point, to talk about the physicality in these NFL games, because I know it's a lot more difficult than what I see, right? Mm-hmm. But just the technique of it, and just the willingness of offensive players to just go down at any touch, not even the most physical touch. And you see a lot of bad angles and taken by defenders and arm tackles. And, that kind of annoys me. So I'm glad to hear that division wide, the best division in football, we are taking an onus. We're taking a step forward in the right direction of making sure we are buttoned up in one of the most basic things in football, tackling.
Yeah, you got to be able to do it. You don't want to hear yards after contact.
It's a curse word.
As a defender, hey, you let the other team have 8 yards after contact. What the hell? Sort of like the Minnesota Vikings did when they played Atlanta last year. Anyway.
You got to worry about Atlanta this year, Dave.
No. Actually, I think we do.
No. You don't have to worry about Atlanta today.
We play them, but
no, I didn't say you didn't play them. You don't have to worry about them. First, they're training camp. All their quarterbacks are hurt. You ain't got to worry about Atlanta. You ain't got to. It's over for them.
It's a question who's going to be handing the ball off. It's all that matters. Tua's hurt. Not Penix.
Penix hurt too.
Hurt. Yeah,
they're in midseason form.
Stefanski's on his way to win another Coach of the Year award if he can get them anywhere good.
9 wins.
They are absolutely hurting. But
speaking of hurt.
Okay.
Kyle Shanahan.
Hey, I heard it was bad. 3 broke ribs, broke nose, almost lost an eye. It was popped out. Over 40 stitches in the face. Mm-hmm. And the question is, where was Brandon Ayuk at the time? He's driving the other car.
That's a good one. 40 stitches to the face. All of that, what you said. And he's going 20 miles per hour.
A collision, you could be stopped and hit by somebody and do that much damage as long as they're traveling fast enough.
That's totally different because the inertia transfer that will go through a lot of pain. Yes, but I don't know, something about that story it's just not shaking out. For one, the lack of reporting around it. It happened 2 weeks ago.
Weird,
very, very weird. And is the question being asked, Dave, with ESPN owning NFL Network now and the NFL owning a piece of ESPN, which is a weird setup, are they all just on the take of just not covering bad stories? Because Kyle Shanahan is one of those, one of those respected people around the league, right? You don't want to start asking questions about what exactly were you doing while you were driving. You said you dropped your phone and you reached forward, took your eyes off the road for a blink of an eye,
of a second,
and all of it. Yeah, and all of this happened. You sure you weren't texting? You say it's your fault, but you weren't doing anything illegal. I don't know. If I was your lawyer, I would never say anything like that. Don't take responsibility unless you want to tell what the responsibility was. You know what I'm saying? Uh, you say you weren't doing anything wrong. I want to know, were you texting? Did you have was one hand on the steering wheel, another hand on the Henny bottle? What was going on?
That's a great question. And to know that it happened out in California in a highly visible spot where people have their cameras all the time, including the cops, including the polls, the whole works, and we can't find a picture of it?
Exactly.
Or of him?
Like everyone knows, like you said there, everyone knows, everyone got the camera. The police always have the cameras out in California because, famously they need to
Right.
videotape. Chips. There was a whole TV show, California Highway Patrol. They're out there. So you mean to tell me no sobriety tests, no on the field sobriety tests were taken, and no one's got a video of this? Very suspicious. Very suspicious.
Speaking of sobriety tests, former Dallas Cowboy QB and former CBS was pulled over and given one. He was heading to his grandparents' house.
Mm-hmm. That's what I say all the time when I'm effed up too.
But they allowed him to warm up, and he did better than Kirk Cousins. The clip of Kirk Cousins warming up today I saw. Kirk Cousins was moving slow in the, goal line to 10-yard dash.
Mm-hmm. True. Did you see the chess video of the Tony Romo arrest?
I saw clips of the video where he was trying to warm up. I know he was
like, bro. There's in the clouds and there's in space. My boy was in a different planet.
No, but Tony Romo. Now, speaking of the NFL, what do you think of Vita Vea?
The All-Pro defensive tackle for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has asked for a trade. Now, do I think he's actually going to be traded? Probably not. And you get to a point in your contract situation where that is just a negotiating tactic. I largely never believe these things actually end in a trade. However, he's 31. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're still contending. That division's up for grabs, even though you have the Atlanta Falcons in that division. Anyone can win a division anytime.
Even the Saints.
The Saints is sneaky team. But we talked about earlier about about contracts, Dave. Vita Vea is looking for a new deal. You know who else is looking for a new deal? Their quarterback.
Might come down to Dallas. Working on that either.
They got to keep one of them happy. I don't know if they can keep both happy. So
as if this year goes badly for the Minnesota Vikings, for both the Wee Widow one and J.J. McCarthy, there's talk of what about Baker Mayfield?
Wow.
Not that it's going to go bad for the Minnesota Vikings. Both our quarterbacks are going to probably start at some point in the year and do well.
I'm assuming one of those quarterbacks start for another team, though. Right?
No, as one of them gets hurt, the other one will have to come in. They both have a slight history of injuries.
You're right. Well, J.J. McCarthy's more prominent, I think. Kyler Murray, I think, 1 year he was hurt, yeah.
Oh, he's got quite a few.
He does?
Yes, he does.
You know what? Maybe I'm more so aligned Kyler with playing through a lot of injuries. So maybe
he has played through quite a few. JJ's played through a few, but no, he had the ACL that took him out for quite a while, and then there was ankle something or other. I think last year that got him pulled out, and then they kept him out because they wanted the draft pick.
Yeah.
And did they draft anybody?
No. A small quarterback that's got an injury history, I would not trust that. J.J. McCarthy, he's got a decent build. So him playing through injury, I would be more confident in that. And this just goes to what I've said all offseason. I would prefer J.J. McCarthy to win that job.
We'll find out. It's an open competition, and it's all about, I don't know if you saw the clip. It turns out that Adam Thielen is now working for NFL Network, I think it is, as an analyst, or ESPN as an analyst. And he talked about how it's important for the quarterback to understand what Kevin O'Connell is trying to do. And he showed a couple different plays where J.J. McCarthy was on point, or not J.J. McCarthy, Justin Jefferson was on point, or Justin Jefferson was back, and they were doing crossers and all sorts of other stuff. But it was about the quarterback needs to know how to read the safety, the defensive backfield, both safety, corner, and all that, to know where to go, because Justin Jefferson, whoever is Jordan Addison or whatever, who's doing the cross sort of thing, are making their decisions off of that, and he needs to know exactly where to throw the ball. The question is, does J.J. McCarthy, who's been in the system now, this is going on his third year, know that better than Kyler Murray? Can Kyler Murray read those defenses better than J.J. McCarthy? He has more experience, but he also has to generally move to get out of the way of his offensive lineman. Because Kyler Murray, a wee little guy. People say, why do you pick on Kyler Murray, Dave? I said, I'm a heightist. All my football players need to be 6 foot minimum, except for specialists. I care less about kicker or punter. But they need to be at least 6 foot tall, minimum. And a 6 foot tall quarterback is a relatively small quarterback.
You're not lying there. I mean, we forget that, because of all the highlights he's had throughout his career. Mike Vick, 5'11", 6 feet on a good day. Not a very tall quarterback. He had to maneuver around so he could see over his linemen. And when I say maneuver around, he was just saying, F it, taking it.
And then we know that's what started with Kyler Murray as well.
Yeah.
So, got Drew Brees, who learned to come up on his toes to see over. And he was 5'11", 6 foot, something like that. And he's considered short. He's the only quarterback, if I remember correctly, besides Aaron, what's his name? Played for the Seattle Seahawks, Denver Broncos.
Aaron, was it Reeves?
No, Chipmunk, little guy. Won the Super Bowl with Seattle, then went on to Denver, and then the Steelers.
Russell Wilson,
that's it. Another tiny guy. But he's taller than Kyler Murray. He was listed as 5'11".
I did hear the Yankees did need some help in the middle of the infield, so there's always a spot for Kyler somewhere.
Hey, I heard somebody speculate if he would have stuck with baseball, he'd probably made more money by now. And he's made a lot.
He has made a lot in football. Well, that's tough. That's a tough thing to say. This has been a tough episode. I mean, we were talking about dogs earlier, and now we're talking about Michael Vick. This is not a good segue.
But next week, you host.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have a full week of training camp, and everybody will be in pads.
Cannot wait. We're going to have a lot of fireworks this week, Dave. As we already said, we expect the physical practices to come back. Ben Johnson, he loves those physical practices. Pads this weekend. I think the weather is supposed to cooperate throughout the Midwest after we had all those tornadoes up and down, the Midwest this week. So we should have a good week of cooperative football intensity in those practices. We love to have it.
Mm-hmm. We've got a Hall of Fame game coming up sometime soon.
Yeah, who cares about that? Who's making the Hall of Fame this year? I forgot.
I haven't even
playing this year. I think isn't Cleveland always supposed to be playing in that game? I forgot who got inducted this year. That's how checked out of the Hall of Fame, my man.
Speaking of inductions, we're going to induct Adrian Peterson into the Vikings Ring of Honor.
Wow. I did not know. How long has he been retired?
I think just the minimum. He's only eligible for the Hall of Fame next year. First year.
Dang, it's been that long?
Yeah, because he hopped around doing the, bits and pieces at the end of his career.
Arizona Cardinals are playing the Carolina Panthers August 6th. So 2 weekends from now. The class of 2026 will be Drew Brees. We talked about him earlier. Roger Craig, Larry Fitzgerald, Minnesota boy.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Kuechly and Adam Vinatieri. This is a very deserving list. Very deserving list. You know what? I will watch.
Well, it's always fun. See if they've overpainted the field like they did a few years ago and made it unplayable.
No, terrible. Stop messing up, Goodale.
Well, they had turf on it instead of grass.
I know that made George Kittle pissed. Mm-hmm. George Kittle, he loves his grass to play on and to probably smoke.
They talk about if they actually want to help the players change it to grass. Now, I understand it's difficult in a domed stadium, especially at the time of year. People don't, they said, hey, well, they did it in Dallas and they did it in Atlanta. And it was soccer turf versus football grass, but it's also time of year. How are you going to keep the grass growing in November if you're pulling it in and out for the games?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't already have, massive grow fields, greenhouses and stuff like that already set up.
Mm-hmm. Something the Bears need to keep in mind while they're building their stadium somewhere in the 312 or
no matter what, you guys are building an enclosed stadium. So it's so you can maximize the use.
Yeah. Whatever they build, it will be. They need to take into consideration the playing surface, because that's one of the things that's plagued Soldier Field for a long time. Speaking of that, and the Bears playing surface, the Bears are upgrading Hallis Hall. They have two brand new re-sodded fields and a state-of-the-art film setup for the coaches there at Lake Forest. So some stadium news today, Dave.
Yeah, but that's Hallis Hall.
Stadium.
That's a training
Somebody's
facility.
stadium. Yes, I know. It better be nice.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be world class.
Now, when you get to Soldier Field, that's when it goes to shit.
Yeah, it's an old stadium. Come on, give them.
When they have 4 concerts in a row, and then they go, "Hey, we're opening football this weekend," and the grass is trashed by the third quarter. It is what it is. All right, buddy. I think we'll call it a day. Our boys from Bleachers to Speakers didn't show up, but where can we find you?
You can find me over there at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel, covering all things Chicago sports and otherwise. We are going to wrap up the first few days of training camp shortly. But right after this episode, the preseason debut of our 4th season of Pay Dirt. That is our football gambling show. So we're going to check that out. We're talking futures. And who do you think is going to win divisions, MVPs, all the awards, Coach of the Year? So check that out over at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel, where you've got all the stuff and goodness coming out of Chicago.
Well, and it is a good channel for those that haven't subscribed and want to get some good commentary. It's a very, very good channel, and Pay's got a great group of folks that works for him, and it's awesome. Now, how are you wagering on the futures? What are you using? Kalshi? Are you using FanDuel? Are you using Underdog? What?
We're a DraftKings outfit there, Dave. We'll be checking out those odds. Just checking them out, and like I said, there are some good ones out there. If you get on it early, that's what she said, you can make a nice penny.
Hey, always bet on the Bears to win the Super Bowl. Throw your money away.
Let's go. Bear down.
And of course, everybody that's here already knows where Vikings First and Skull is. We're now part of the Believe Network, and we hope to see you tomorrow night for the Real 4-Nose Show. I'm sure Tyler's going to be talking about something to do with training camp. We'll find out. And then 2 Old Bloggers on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central, because we're going to move early to our regular season time frame, Saturday at 10. And we're going to do that because Darren's on vacation. So we're going to move early because he can make Saturday. We'll just sit there and all the way through the season. We'll have the post games during the regular season on Sundays. So join us Saturday at 10 a.m. We'll start your weekend off right. With that, what do we say there, buddy? What do they say?
Bear down.
And if I turn up the volume, it might work. There you go. And of course, in Minnesota, we say, Skol Vikings! Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and rate us on your favorite podcast aggregator. Thank you for listening to this NFC North group effort on the Believe Show Network. This has been a Frustrated Chicago Sports Fans, Bleachers to Speakers, Vikings First and Skull, and of course, Believe production. Thank you for listening.